Welcome to Labatt Buffalo Main Event. Bob Gaughan along with Brad Ryder, and coming up on today's show, Brad and I will discuss the slumping Buffalo Sabres, the NFL playoffs, and Roger Clemens' comments. We'll also bring in Joe Mahalik, head basketball coach at Niagara University. But Brad, we start things off with two major decisions that the Buffalo Bills have to make: general manager and offensive coordinator. The longer this goes on, do you have a feeling that the Bills are going to stay in-house with these two major decisions?
I don't think they will. I don't think they should, at least as far as the offensive coordinator. I think they recognize this is a team that finished, 30th in the league in offense again. I don't even know if that's an improvement. It's the same thing. It's been 2 years, and it's been just nothing happening. So I think they've got to recognize that as an organization. I think Dick Jauron knows it. The players have talked about it, and this is all assuming that Dick Jauron remains as the head coach of the Bills, which I'm assuming that that's the case.
I think he's going to get more power. I think that's what is going to happen with the general manager job opening up. I think Dick Jauron somehow changed his title a little bit, but he gets more power within that organization, at least with the general manager. With the offensive coordinator, there are guys out there, and usually there are like 6 openings in the NFL. Now there are less openings. That means that if you did want to go after a Martz, a Billick, if you want to go after a Cam Cameron or a bigger name, you could, because there aren't going to be, those guys aren't going to have as many job offers as they would in a normal year.
And that helps to bring down their salaries, but generally speaking, aren't we talking about guys who, just as an offensive coordinator, would command as much or more than Dick Jauron is making as the head coach? That's a problem.
Right. No, it's a big problem, and they won't get one of those guys, and you make the great point, because why? Because the Bills are cheap when they play coaches. When they pay coaches. They've never paid a coach that much money. Dick Jauron is only making about $1.5 million. And you're right. If you went after a Billick, if you went after a Martz, he would make more than $1.5 million. So those guys are probably out of the equation, totally out of the equation. Maybe a guy like Cam Cameron would be in there, but no, those other two guys are out. That makes me believe that they're going to stay in-house. They're going to go after a Schoenert. They're going to go after an Alex Van Pelt. And I'm not happy with it, but I think that that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And general manager? I mean, what are they going to? They're going to promote.
They've gone a couple of years without a general manager. We talked about this last week. I don't think Marv Levy was ever the GM of the team. He was a figurehead. So they've gone 2 years without. All the rest of the people are still in place. So you reconfigure the titles, and you might wind up with some combination of the guys who are already here taking over the power that Marv Levy never had anyway.
Right. I'm not feeling good about the situation. No. Another situation I'm not feeling really good about is the Buffalo Sabres. Brad, you have mentioned several times, don't lose 3 in a row. Well, how are you feeling now, Brad? Double that. The team has lost 6 in a row.
Well, it's like
Are you feeling good?
It's like I always say, Bob, don't lose 3 in a row 2 times in a row. At least they've picked up a couple of points, and with the Winter Classic Ice Bowl thing mixed in there, I think it took a little of the sting off it, but now it's back to normal, it's back to reality, and suddenly you look at the standings, and they're dropping pretty much by the day. They simply can't score. I've liked a lot of the things I've seen, but this is a team that just generated goals in bunches for the past couple of seasons. That's been their success. Obviously, they're missing a couple of players, but it's just there's such a lack of confidence right now around the net. Guys like Pominville, who used to be just money. You give him 3 scoring chances in a game, he's going to put one of them home. Now he's still getting those 3, but game after game, not putting home. I don't want to lay it all on Jason Pominville, but just a perfect example. That's a good place to get goal scoring out of number 29 for the Sabres, and it's not coming. It's just goal scoring feeds off itself, and the confidence comes, and maybe that's where they miss, let's say, Danny Briere, in that he's the kind of guy who would chip one in, and all of a sudden the next guy feels like he can chip one in, and they get the whole ball rolling. But right now, it's just not rolling.
Well, you talked about that they are getting the scoring opportunities. They're not scoring the goals. That is frustrating. It's also frustrating defensively when you do have 2 guys playing pretty well, Brian Campbell and Spacek. What happened to Linder and Lidman and everybody else on that blue line? They've been absolutely horrible. So, yes, you do have the frustration of not being able to bury the chances. You are getting the chances, which is one positive. You're getting the chances offensively. You're not burying them. Hopefully that comes around. But defensively, Kalinin gives out just a horrible goal to Hossa in the Atlanta game. And other than Spacek and Campbell, I think the defense is not playing well at all.
Yeah, and Ryan Miller, during a good chunk of this stretch, has played exceptionally well. He's been, most nights, good enough for this team to win. But the frustration has got to start building when you go in there and put up a 1-goal effort. You're prevent the team from scoring more than one goal, and you still can't come out of the thing with 2 points. The frustration's got to build, and I noticed something lately that Ryan Miller is again talking about what the team needs to do. When this team started going well was when Miller said, you know what, I've got to concentrate on me. I've got to worry about what I'm doing, and that has slipped away a little bit.
Right.
He's now talking about what they're doing up front, and that can't be a good sign.
Well, I think watching that Ottawa game, I thought the teams were very similar, except Ottawa's big line. Yeah. And I said, boy, that is really when I first noticed, and I noticed it before, but missing Briere and Drury, and said, boy, these teams are real similar, except they have that major line.
Look what Heatley just did. Look what Alfredson just did.
And you don't have that.
Right.
And you don't have that anymore. And now I'm thinking, is that the difference between being first in the conference and being President's
12th.
Trophy to being 11th? Is 2 guys? You know, it might be. It might be part of it. Lastly, big story nationally, Roger Clemens coming out on the offensive, talking on 60 Minutes, having his own press conference. Are you buying what he is selling? He injected me with lidocaine and B12.
Yes, I am. I'm buying it, every single word of it.
Yeah?
No. No, not at all. But the good news is, unlike Barry Bonds, it's not illegal to lie to Mike Wallace.
No.
You can say whatever you want to Mike Wallace. They can't throw you in jail for that. A grand jury, that's another issue. So
in front of Congress?
Right.
But he may have gotten out of. I'm skeptical of everything he does. And reports now that he might be suing Brian McNamee. You know why he's suing Brian McNamee? Because now he doesn't have to go in front of Congress. Because he could say, I got this lawsuit. I can't go in front of Congress. I got this lawsuit pending. I mean, how can I go in front of Congress and talk to you when I've got... So I'm skeptical of everything that he does.
I'm skeptical that he's actually going to sue him.
Yeah. No, he's not going to sue him until after the Congress.
Right. Everybody wants to hear somebody say, this guy's lying, and I'm going to sue him, and I'm going to show him. So he's saying, I'm going to sue him. I'm going to wait till the paperwork is filed, and he's actually got to show up in court before I believe that that's really happening.
Coming up on Labatt Buffalo Main Event, it is time for the O Restaurant and Lounge email segment. We will answer your questions off of our website. Coming up next on Labatt Buffalo Main Event.
Short-term memory loss is something we all joke about. I forgot where I put my keys. I forgot what I wanted when I walked into the room. Those are common occurrences that happen to absolutely every person. And there's places out there that can help assess whether or not your loved one is really in the earlier stages of having a true memory impairment problem, or if it's just the routine forgetfulness that comes with day-to-day life. Bristol Village offers an exclusive memory care program, so call for help early.
Bristol Home in Bristol Village. Assisted living where family matters.